Let's bring in North Carolina Congresswoman and House Education and Workforce Committee member Virginia Foxx. Congresswoman, great to have you here. I want to see Linda McMahon take a off-the-top rope dive on the Department of Education.
Well, I'm immensely pleased that Linda McMahon is the new Secretary of the Department of Education. She's a fellow North Carolinian, and she's just the right person for this job. You know, David, the word education is not in the Constitution as a responsibility of the federal government. And the department was created in 1980, but with a deal between former President Jimmy Carter and the NEA. And it was not a good deal to begin with, and hasn't been a good deal. As Linda said, that we've spent enormous amounts of money for nothing. We have not achieved one bit of growth in terms of learning for students.
Congresswoman, I'm curious, though, because we understand that in order to dismantle the Department of Education, it would require approval from Congress. And without the certainty that that would actually come to fruition and be available, how far could President Trump go in an executive order to dismantle the department?
Well, there are many things that could be done. Parts of the department could be put in other agencies and other departments. The student loan program, for example, existed long before, has only existed since Obamacare. It was set up to pay for Obamacare, but it could be put in Treasury. And Title VI enforcement could be done in the judiciary, in judiciary. And so a lot of things could be done without having to have legislation. But we'll work very closely with the president and with Secretary McMahon to do what we need to do to dismantle the department, because the time has come to do that.
Congresswoman, there are a number of congressional abilities. What about the Anti-Deficiency Act to go after this? The way the Department of Education has spent money has not been as you in Congress, all your Congress members, allocated and appropriated.
Oh, we absolutely need to do that. And I think what we're seeing with DOGE is going to pay benefits from it. We met with Elon Musk the other night, and he went over a litany of horror stories of how the money's being spent. And we need to claw back that money wherever we can, and particularly clawing back money from places like Columbia University, where the anti-Semitism is rampant, and we need to stop spending hardworking taxpayer dollars at those universities where anti-Semitism is so rampant.
Congresswoman, you got to my next question, because I was going to ask you about the news of the day, which is the Trump administration canceling $400 million worth of grants to Columbia University over allegations of anti-Semitism proliferating on the college campus. What do you expect Columbia University to do in order to rectify the problem? And do you think this is going to send a message to other schools that are dealing with the same issue?
Well, I think we got the attention of Columbia by comments made by the acting president and also by the president Barnard. They know we're serious. That didn't happen under the previous administration. They let rampant anti-Semitism go on. Jewish students, all students, should feel safe on their campuses. They're paying big bucks, and the taxpayers are supporting research grants at these universities, and the taxpayers have a right to know that students are going to be safe, all students, but particularly the Jewish students who are feeling so much discrimination now.
You know, Congresswoman, not just with Columbia and what the president just did, federal dollars being pulled back, but so many federal agencies have sent money to universities, billions and billions of dollars, and we see this across all these universities, whether it's supporting terrorism, supporting criminal acts by groups out there like Antifa, Black Lives Matter. There is a path here, and I think this is the first shot fired by the president. Will Congress follow up and look at where all of this money's going and how it's being spent, not on education, but on other activities?
We definitely must do that. We began doing that last year under my administration as chairman of the committee, but we need to do much, much more of it, and we need to pin down exactly where the money's going and bring back that money to the taxpayers and not allow it to be wasted by the various universities and even colleges and even schools that are getting the money.
And maybe also take a look at the preferential tax treatment these universities enjoy for their gigantic endowments.
A $20 billion endowment at Columbia.
Yeah.
I wonder if they really care, Congresswoman, and can I jump in here?
Yeah.
I wonder if they really care about the $400 million, because they'll go out and raise that and they have a $20 billion endowment.
Well, I think they do care. My understanding is that the amount of federal grants is about 20% of their total budget. And I'd say they will care about that because they're being held in such low esteem right now that raising money is not the easiest thing for them to do these days. None of these institutions, the so-called elite institutions, which aren't elite at all.
Congresswoman, it's such a great conversation, and we have just been following, for months, the protests that have been unfolding.
They're riots. They're protests when you're peaceful, when you're breaking doors, breaking into buildings, when you're holding employees hostage. Look, I founded the Tea Party movement here in New York with my cohorts. We didn't do any of that. Those were protests. All over New York City, tens of thousands of people, not one arrest, not one broken window. What was happening at Barnard, at Columbia, at UC Berkeley, all across the country, those were riots, just like that mostly peaceful summer with billions of dollars of damage. That's not American. Free speech is American. You can say hateful things. That's not American, Congresswoman.
You're exactly right. And we have to get back to where, again, students feel safe and we do not tolerate anti-Semitic behavior. If we can't stop that in America, it won't be stopped other places. It's critical that we stop this bad behavior on these campuses.
We heard from our Education Secretary, Linda McMahon, in an interview that she just did with our Larry Kudlow a couple hours ago, and she shared a conversation she had with a Jewish student who attended the joint session earlier this week. This Jewish student, she says, told her they feel unsafe, and that's what this comes down to. How can we educate people on school property when they feel unsafe? This is about access to education for everyone, and that cannot continue. But Congresswoman, we have to leave it here for tonight. Thank you very much, Virginia Foxx, for joining us.
Thank you, Congresswoman.